Hello, everyone. I'm so excited because tonight I'm going to be joined by Sarah Breshears, who is a social media manager. She's amazing at marketing, and she's actually my social media manager. And one of the biggest questions that we get all the time in my programs and just in private practice world has to do with marketing, right? Having clients is the lifeblood of any private practice, right? And a lot of people are worried about where to get those clients and how to find clients. Everyone knows what kind of clients they want to be working with, but when it comes time to actually find them through marketing, people start to get a little bit nervous. So for that reason, Sarah and I are going to do a joint talk here tonight. And hey, Sarah, how's it going? Hope she's just coming on. This is so exciting, everyone. Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
Oh man, I'm so excited to be doing this with everyone because I know that everyone knows what kind of client that they want to work with, right? Like most SLPs and OTs, whether they're in private practice or not, exactly who they want to see, but finding them is a little bit of the that's what we were going to talk about
Yes,
tonight.
I'm so excited. I feel like that is um, one of, if not the most common areas that I feel like we see, especially just coming out of boot camp. There's so many questions about marketing. I actually have our list of questions from boot camp pulled up. So we can go through some of those.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. So, first of all, thank you all for being here. We've got 44 people on live right now, which is super cool. In case we haven't met yet, my name is Jenna Castor Casbon. I am the founder of Private Practice School and the Start Your Private Practice program. And I've taught a lot of people how to start and grow private practices. I think over 10,000. Really, really cool. And as Sarah mentioned, we just had our big private practice boot camp where we welcomed a whole new batch of SLPs and OTs into the private practice world and helping them get set up and started now with their very first private clients. But Sarah, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, so I am Sarah Breshears. I'm a speech pathologist and kind of found my way into entrepreneurship on accident. I'm now the owner of Social Moguls. We are a social media marketing um, management, coaching, and courses agency. And we are the partner for independent clinician. We do all the social media for Jenna and really just get to bring the private practice gospel to the masses.
Oh, I love that way to say it.
Yeah.
So I just like as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people like again know who their clients are that they want to work with, but they get stuck with marketing. And I think that they get stuck with a couple of different one has to do with just like literally right? Like they don't know the how between how would you even get clients, right? So that's like stuck point number one. And then the other stuck point that I see a lot of people is they get like scared, right? Whether it's like imposter syndrome or just feeling like, maybe I'm not quite good enough, confident.
Mhm.
Like what if somebody who am I, right? Or like what will people think if they see me marketing a brand, right? And so I think those are like the two main things that I see when it comes to people with marketing. What would you say are challenges that you're seeing that really kind of stop people from marketing either their private practices or their businesses?
Um, Definitely imposter syndrome. I see that for sure. And then one thing that I see where people they think that they're marketing their business, but really they're just sharing like information for other SLPs. Um, they're not speaking. I feel like we need to know how, but before you can know how, you have to know who you're speaking to. And that is like the number one thing that I feel like I kind of redirect people with whenever we first start working together because they want to share, you know, um, just info that's like helpful for SLPs. And it's like tools that I use as a business owner. And it's like, well, parents don't care. Um, so that just like nailing down the who, and I think that's something that we do really, really well with independent clinician is we really understand SLPs and OTs because we're clinicians ourselves. Um, and so, yeah, I think before you can understand how, you have to start with who. And that's something that I see a lot of people that they want to skip over, or that they think, well, I already know who. And it's like, okay, well, let's dig into that a little bit more, because you might know that, you want to serve like the birth to 3 population, but who specifically are you trying to find in your marketing? Is it mom? Is it dad? Are they in their 20s? Are they in their 40s? Where are you going to find them with your marketing? How do you speak to them differently based on, are you speaking to Gen Z? Are you speaking to Gen X? Are you speaking to millennials? Like, there's so much that you can tailor in your marketing if you know who you're speaking to specifically.
Yeah, and then I thought saying that might be helpful for viewers is also thinking how you're communicating with them, right? Like I'm a parent, and parents are tired, you guys. Like some of
Mhm.
parents are um, just be tired. I think we're all, to be honest, but just thinking about like the length of your message, how you're presenting your message, right? Because
Yeah.
SL, lots of stuff, right? We love to know, but sometimes like the way the message is communicated also might kind of mark for the audience.
Oh yeah, complete, and like the intent of the message too. Like, are you creating? I have to give a little shout out. Isabel Lawton is a student in the course that I teach, and she had a reel go viral, like viral this week. Whenever I looked at it earlier this morning, it was at 3.7 million, which I know, I know. But it was a very relatable, very lighthearted, very entertaining reel. And so we've kind of talked about, like, okay, but how does this help your business? And um, I think like that's step one, is like relating to people and having them see you as relatable. And then you can educate them. And I think as SLPs, OTs, like we have so much knowledge, and our knowledge truly is a gift that we want to share. But it's like we like clobber people with the knowledge whenever sometimes they just need a hug, or sometimes like they just want to laugh and like zone out on social media because they're worn out as a parent.
Yes, totally. Yeah, and then that is like different kind of mediums, right? Like
Hmm.
sometimes really basic how to, right? So like a lot of practitioners, like for example, just even basic posts about like what kind of insurance you take, right? Or like what your hours are, or like that kind of stuff can be super helpful. And that a lot of times parents are gonna like save,
Yes.
right? Like the post that's gonna be what it is, and
Yeah.
not like maybe quotes are lovely and some other things, but like sometimes it's practical information
Mhm.
that people
Yeah. Yeah. I think, um, and even in being a social media manager and, running social media for multiple different accounts, I think during like COVID, whenever everyone was stuck at home, they were wanting to learn. And so we were doing a lot of that educational type content. And now I think there's just kind of been like a shift. And like you said, like the simple content that is going to give them like the information that they need right then and there. They're going to save it for later. Um, which is always a good thing. That's good engagement. We want that. Um, but yeah, I think just making sure that you're hitting like I call them intentions. So just all of the content intentions. You're entertaining, you're educating, you're connecting, you're inspiring, you're giving them empathy. I think that makes such a huge difference. And, not just on social media, like there's components of all of those on a website too. There's components of all of those in email marketing. So yeah, I think making it more well-rounded, you're going to meet people wherever they are, and you're going to have people at all points in their journey with you.
yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of talk about what are some things that our audiences about with marketing, or like some of our struggles. And people who are watching live, like you can put questions in the comments. So Sarah and I are happy to
Yeah.
one of the questions I get all the time in my programs, a good one for both of us to share our opinion, is, if you practice, do you have to be on social media? Right? There's some people who are like, can't wait to be on social, and there's other people like don't ever want to be on, right? And so I have but if you would mind sharing your opinion of.
So I tell everyone that I work with that you don't have to do anything that you don't want to. Um, you know, we don't start a business to be told what to do. So you don't have to. But whenever we think about one of the easiest ways to reach people, to bring people into your world, and to nurture people from discovering you to starting to feel like they know you, to feeling like they like you, to feeling like they trust you so that they can bring their child or their elderly parent to you. Social media is a really great tool to do that with. So you don't have to, but I think you're leaving money on the table and you're making it harder for yourself by not. Um, at least in some capacity. I'm not saying that you have to show up 40 times a week, but I think that it's not a have to, but it's a very strongly encouraged to.
Well, what I like, reserve all the accounts, right? When you have the name of your practice, right? Get your accounts all, whether it's Instagram or, even if it's one that you don't think you're going to be on as much, like TikTok, for example,
Mhm,
right? But reserve those accounts so you put some content on there so it looks like business, right? Because, a lot of times people might hear about you through like word of mouth, and then they're like Google you, and then people are looking to make sure that you are a real business.
mhm,
Some of that content on there and having those handles is really going to help people. But then after that, you can't do it all,
right.
right? You really have to kind of think about like what platforms is your audience on, and then also like what are you either the most comfortable on, or could you learn how to be more comfortable on. Sarah and I first started working together, I did a lot more on Facebook, right? I was much more comfortable and confident, I suppose, on in Facebook groups, and some of you may even be in my big Facebook group, right? The SLP and OT private practice. And I dabbled in Instagram, but I wasn't like the most comfortable. But like my audience is on Instagram,
Mhm,
right? Also, so it seems than Facebook these days. So it took a little bit of practice, some expertise, but I think that you have to really think about where your audience, right?
mhm,
If you are uh, parents of young kids, they're likely to be younger, so they are more likely to be on Instagram and on TikTok. Right? You have to kind of go where your audience is, and then like what kind of content that you are creating, right? I don't do let me back up. I haven't done a lot of these Instagram lives in the past, but I didn't feel as comfortable doing them. Start doing more of them, right? Because now I'm more comfortable doing it, right? So audience for watching this, like do the kind of content that you feel the most comfortable doing, at least at first, and
mhm.
other things will get more comfortable as you go
Yeah,
on.
I totally agree. That is so after we cover who, that is always our next thing is where. And I love that because I know that's kind of how we break down boot camp too. I never realized that until just now. Um, but that's always the second thing is we say, okay, based on who you're trying to reach, where do they hang out? Because we know if they're Gen X, they're going to be on Facebook more. If they're millennials, they're going to be on Instagram more. If they're Gen Z, you're going to find them more on TikTok. And so if you are like very aversive to TikTok and you're like, absolutely not, it's not my jam, freaks me out, I don't do it. Maybe Instagram is like the next best place for you to be, if that's where you're most comfortable. Because, like, as humans, we're not going to continue to do something that is super duper uncomfortable and that we feel like we really just are not great at. So if you can start with one that you're more comfortable with and you're going to find your people there, get more and more comfortable with it, and then add in the second one. I feel like I'm a great example of this. I have a Facebook for my business. I have a TikTok for my business, but we primarily show up on Instagram because that's where our people are. Um, I have a goal to add in more TikTok, but I mean, we're finding our people on Instagram and that's working, and that's where I'm most comfortable creating content for myself. So I think that, that makes sense that that's where you would show up most.
Yeah. And that's important for all business. You have kind of like your comfort zone, and then but you can things.
Yeah.
Right? Part of being a business is learning new skills and learning how to. Sometimes that means like not just about clinical education when you have a business, but if you have a,
Yeah.
whether that's about private practice or about social media or whatever, like if some of these skills aren't just coming naturally to you, a really great way to shortcut the learning and the confidence progress or process too is to like learn how to do it in the way possible rather than kind of like.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I feel like with Start, you're preventing people from like spending endless hours on Google and wondering, not just like the time, but the wondering of like, am I missing something? Did I forget something? Is I don't know, the city gonna come after me and say you didn't have the right license? Or, like there's those like stressors that whenever you have someone who has done it before, who like this is their area of expertise, they can guide you and you don't have to stress about that stuff. Um, and I feel like, same way with social media, like there, I see people like violating Instagram's terms regularly. And that is something that your account can get taken down for. And so not to like put fear in people, but like having mentorship and having guidance, it prevents you from making mistakes, no matter, if it's just something that's going to hold you back and make your progress slower, or if it's something that could have like more consequences. But not only that, the other side of that coin is that it propels you and you grow faster and you have more confidence, and you're able to check those things off at a much faster rate than if you're spending time Googling and you're spending time like doing this freebie that leaves you with more questions. And, like instead of having everything in one place, you're more scattered versus like if you have mentorship or you have a course that's dedicated to what you're trying to learn.
Yeah, it's always easy to follow a recipe, right?
Yes.
Like figure it out yourself, right? And so I think that that's really really important thing. One of the questions that there's that kept coming up in boot camp was people saying like, I really like to be a client, but like I work at a school and I can't
Mhm.
see clients at school, right? So like I guess I can't really do this, right? And like to me, I'm always like, yes, but there's other kids in there, right?
Right.
Other schools, other people, or there's home schools or charter schools or
Mhm.
private, any number of other places to find kids. But I think that the reason why they get kind of a little bit stuck on that is because they've never marketed anything in their.
Right.
And so when that happens, again, what I tell people is like that it's a skill that you can learn, right? First and foremost, you can learn how to do this. And if it still feels follow marketing plans like from people like you and I. But the other thing is that you do have to put yourself out there bit, and you have to put your with a larger group of people than like who you're initially thinking about, right? How do
Mhm.
you think about that process? Like that it's not just like this amount of people perhaps that you're marketing to, but realize find whole new groups of people or audiences by marketing a little bigger.
Um, I don't know. I don't think that I've ever thought about it that way because I think, and this is, I don't know, I just think that I've always seen it as such a giant pool. I think whenever we start looking at people's numbers, they're that's whenever they see like, oh, okay, there is like a whole ton of possibility here. Um, for example, I have a client right now that she um, has recently started implementing lives, and she has a smaller account, less than 2,000 followers, and she's reaching over 15,000 people per month. And whenever you think about, that's not like 1,000 people each saw her content 15 times. It's 15,000 different accounts. And whenever you think about like, I don't know, an arena or like, um, I'm thinking like my high school football stadium wouldn't even hold that many people. And you have that many people that are being exposed to your content. Like that's huge. That's massive. And I think, people get caught up on followers a lot. And it's exciting. And I know we celebrate every time you hit another thousand. And it is exciting and it increases the likelihood that those people are going to continue to see your content. But say you have 1,000 followers. If you have 1,000 people that are seeing your content, even if they're just seeing it once or twice a week, think about if you had, 1,000 people coming in the front door of your private practice every week. That's a lot of people. And you want those to be, not just like your aunts and cousins and friends from college that love you and want to support you. You want those to be your ideal client. And again, we go back to who. Um, but whenever you have built a true like community and a true audience of people who are your ideal client, that's a lot of people. And there's so much opportunity there to reach more people than you could ever even possibly serve in in your clinic.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's based on kind of like a scarcity mindset where people,
Oh yeah.
oh, I can only school in my school district. So therefore, like I'm only going to be able to see a couple of people, it's going to be small, right? But
Yeah.
what happens when people start programs, learn how to market their practices, all of a sudden they're right. Like some of our people, like I saw two posts today where people are like, oh my gosh, I'm at 5 clients. Now I kind of have to make a decision. Like I didn't think I was going to grow this quickly, right?
Mhm.
There was a person who was one of the speakers at camp who would join the program was pretty low time, right? And again, I think that she grew a lot quicker than she thought because there's such a tremendous need for services.
Yeah.
So like you, you allow yourself to think a little bit bigger, like that there's a lot there who are autistic. There's a lot of people with issues, or a lot of people, whatever it is that you work with, not just the people in like the first pool of people you think now
Yeah.
have this impact through your practice or through your business, but you just need to think about where else can you find people and attract people to your practice.
Yeah. One thing that I think about too, whenever we get the question about, well, who do I see if I can't see the kids that are in my school on my caseload? A lot of those kids have siblings. So maybe we have brother or sister who also needs speech. And, maybe we're in your school this year, but next year we're moving up to the next school. Like there are so many. there's so many more people that need us than there are of us. Uh, like there's just not enough SLPs and OTs, period. And that's across all settings. But I especially think there there's so much need for not just therapy, but therapy that is not dictated by a school admin, or not dictated by, if you want to do private pay, it's not dictated by your insurance anymore. And you can truly do whatever your client needs, whatever is going to work, regardless of what some insurance person in an office that has no idea what you do or who your client is. I think that there's such a need for like truly autonomous therapy.
Yeah, where we're like and make decisions that work best for our clients and for ourselves. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all the time is, well, how do you get word of mouth marketing? Right. I want that one. I want that one, right? But what I think people don't realize is that, in order to get word of mouth marketing, you have to do something, right? Like people have to know you exist. You're not going to get word of mouth until you put yourself out there and
Yeah.
know that you exist, right? And the second thing is that people need to know that you exist and have an experience with you. It's,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I saw this girl's website and she looks pretty good. Like, oh no, my cousin went to her and they had an amazing experience, right? And so like you got to get yourself that both like talking about your practice, but also like doing the work,
Mm-hmm.
right? And seeing an impact on and families. And those families go back to their pediatrician and say, like, look, what they made my
Right.
kid so much better. Like, right? And like, that's how you get word of mouth marketing. It just happened because,
Yeah. And so as you're talking about those different scenarios, that makes me think of, and if you have spent 5 minutes with me, you've probably heard me say that people have to know you before they can like you before they trust you, and trust you before they'll bring their kid to you. And whenever a recommendation comes from a friend, or maybe it comes from your pediatrician that you already trust, that kind of gives you that like, oh, I can trust them because my best friend trusts them, or because my pediatrician trusts them. But another way that we can help people feel like they know you, like you, and trust you is by letting them get to know you through social media. Um, if you hang out with me for 5 minutes, you will also hear me say that your best branding assets are your face and your voice, because literally no one else in the entire world can have. Can you say that again? Your best branding assets are your face and your voice. And truly, like, you're gonna feel like you know me so much more by hearing me talk and seeing me talk with my hands and catching all of my like facial expressions than you will from like a graphic that I made on Canva. So I preach a lot about establish yourself as their like Instagram bestie or their IG BFF, or like, you want them to truly feel like they know you, because if they don't have a recommendation from a friend or from their pediatrician, but they've gotten to know you and they already feel like, okay, she's making sense, she's speaking my language, she understands me, that makes me like you. And over time, I'm going to start to trust you because what you're telling me resonates. And maybe I've implemented some of it with my kid. And so now we're going to come see you. So that word of mouth, invaluable. It's, it's how I built my business. That's how I met you. But if you are just starting out, it's hard to have word of mouth if you haven't like had experience with people yet. And so one way that you can move people to have experience with you is um is by letting them get to know you. Kara said, please repeat the know you, like you, trust you. So they have to know you before they can like you before they can trust you, and trust you before they will bring, I always say, their kid. Or, if you're an adult who your parent, you're now the caregiver for. Um, I don't have human children, I have fur children, but I think I would be just as protective over my mama as I would be bringing you, my 5-year
Yeah.
old.
And that's another mistake a lot actually for especially beginner practitioners is like they don't want to put a picture on their website. I'm like, you can't have all stock photos
Yeah.
on there, right? Like I hate to say like I'm not even that suspicious of a person, but like I'm not gonna take my kid to a place where not
Hmm.
real people, right?
Yeah.
Or of the environment that they'll be working. And that's just like common, like just think about it for a second. Like, would you go to a place that didn't have pictures of the people? Like, would you go to a restaurant and have pictures of like the inside of the restaurant or what the food looks
Oh my gosh. No, the first thing, anytime anyone brings up, like, hey, let's go try this new restaurant, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go to Yelp, and then we're gonna go to Instagram, and we're gonna look at all of the photos that they're tagged in, because I know that those are photos that people who have actually eaten there have shared. And
like? I never thought to,
oh, you cut out. You said you never thought to do that.
I thought to do that. That's like next level. That's great.
I mean, the sleuthing. But I mean, I do that. So I moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, a little over a year ago. And so I had to find a new doctor, a new dentist, a new nail lady, a new hair person, new Botox place, like, all a new vet. And so that's how I found, well, my friend Bailey, I don't know if she's watching, but my friend Bailey lived here and recommended people for me. But as soon as she recommended people, I went to their Instagram and I was looking them up. I went to TikTok and I was looking them up. And I'm looking at things that they're tagged in, because I know, again, that's kind of like word of mouth. I know what other people's experience is based on what they're sharing on social media.
Yeah. And then I really like how you mentioned that too. Like one of the places like students in the START program get their first clients from are like either parent or local Facebook, right? They get that kind of at first, usually by like replying to a comment, right? Like or replying to a question. People like I've kids and pediatrician isn't worried about it, but I'm about it. Does anyone know a speech therapist, right? And so at first, it's a lot of times like you, the clinician practitioner, commenting on, my goodness, I've worked with lots of kids who are late talkers. I would love to website, maybe we can do a free consultation or something like that, right? And then what happens is that then, the Facebook groups are basically search engines. Like nobody really,
Hmm.
but like in the future, someone else types in speech, they're like looking at, and then your name pops up, right? That's like the second level that happens on that. And then the third level of is when someone now is saying like, does anyone have any recommendations for therapist? And all the comments are about you,
Hmm.
right? Those are like your happy customers, happy clients, parents of the clients are now endorsing you, right? And like that part works out over time, but in the beginning, again, you have to like put yourself out there to make it happen. And to I talk about a referral engine, like that's part of
Hmm.
having like by doing that
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I found my pet nanny, my dog sitter. And now she's like very much a part of our family, and like she and how I found our vet. Like and it was people that had recommended them, and I saw multiple people with their comments recommending them. And so then I reached out, and now we go there.
Everyone who's watching does that too.
Mm-hmm. And probably don't even realize that that's how we're like finding the things that we
Like
need.
I feel like it used to. It started with just like people would like buy something on, right? You wouldn't, or I don't go to restaurants without. I don't do the next level strategy. You know, I'm looking at the menus. I'm looking at that kind of thing, right? Um, but like I think sometimes when SLPs get nervous about marketing, they forget that they are engaged in marketing behavior all the time. And some
Mm-hmm.
remember like, well, how do I act in other situations,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like how do I make decisions about who to hire for a service? Like, a nail lady or hair salon or that kind of thing, right? And so sometimes I think people get stuck in thinking like, I have no idea. And you,
Yeah.
whoa, take a step back. How do you experience people marketing services to you, or what do you do from like a buyer behavior point of view? And then people are like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
But like it feels so heavy to people sometimes, but like if you just take a step back, you can be like, oh no, I actually can do that. It doesn't have to feel heavy. It doesn't have to feel pushy, feel, whatever else. It's just that you're communicating that you help people. And
Mm-hmm.
this is who I help, how I help them, and that you them the decision, do they think that you're the right person to help them or their kid? And if so, they hire you, and then you do a great job, and then they tell people about you, and then you have more people coming, and then that's how.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was thinking about this whenever I was out walking the dogs earlier, just that we were going to be talking about this tonight. And I kind of had this little nugget download that marketing is just communication. And really good marketing is communication that builds relationships. And as SLPs, as OTs, as anyone who's worked in healthcare, we're really good at that because how many patients have we had with aphasia who can't talk to us? And we have to really like work to communicate with them. How many kiddos that have come to us that are either not talking yet, or maybe we can't understand more than just a couple of words. Like we're really good at communicating. And thank you. um we're really, really good at communicating. And then the relationship building part is like building rapport with your clients and building rapport with your parents that are coming and bringing their kids to you, or, your adults that are bringing their parents to you. But like we already do so much marketing and we participate in marketing, like you were talking about, from the other side as the consumer. Um, but it feels like this big, hairy, scary thing. But like we already do it more than what we realize, I think.
Yeah. So really a little bit, and then give to themselves to be like, okay, if I don't know how to do this, and I don't know how to market, and I have a business, and my business depends on marketing, I got to learn how to market, right? That's like, right? Like again, I have to learn how to get more people to practice so that you can help them,
Yeah.
kind of how it works, right? So is like learning, and then the other thing is just trusting yourself to practice and to try it, right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of seeing what works. And if something works, you do more of it. If it doesn't work, really don't ever do it again, but maybe you don't put all of your efforts there, or maybe you try it a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I tried this and it didn't work. I tried that. It's like, well, you can't try something once and say it doesn't work, especially with marketing. I don't
Oh yeah.
know the quote. You probably know the number that like how they say that you need before people like something or
It used to be like, I think we used to say 7 times, but now just like the sheer volume that is coming at people, I think is closer to like 21 to 25 times now.
So if you do something once, I see this all the time with people with marketing to doctors, right? They're like, well, I they didn't send me other clients. That doesn't work. Email, marketing to doctors. I'm like, you email, they can, they're not going to remember you or your face or anything that's special about you, right? They're going to delete it. It get lost in your email, just like stuff gets lost. And so, like, then you try different things. Maybe you try to, bring some treats to the front desk, or
Mm-hmm.
you whatever, do a couple of different things, like different ways, and then also just having points, right? Like some of you are, I know that you're students in either the Start program or the Grow program. And how many times did maybe you need to listen to my podcast? Or did you go through a couple of before you decided to join,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's experiences with someone to say, I do really like this person and I trust them that they're gonna help me do this thing, right? Well, the same thing is gonna be true for your clients, is that they may need to see you on social, visit your website, and maybe they hear your friend talk, right? And then they make the call.
Mm-hmm.
But just because they're one time, one way, does not necessarily mean you're gonna get clients from that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I went to it was called the Attention Summit. It was a conference all about short form video, so Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and it was hosted by the guy who he started the first TikTok agency, and he had his very first client, who she also was a Tulsa girl, but she was there, and she make her thing is she makes millions by getting billions of views, and she said, you have a viral video in you. You have multiple viral videos in you, if that's your goal. She said, but you have 100 bad videos before you ever get to the one that takes off. You have 100 more bad videos before you get to the second one that maybe goes viral and gets you over 1 million views. Um, Amy, you're Oklahoma girl too. Um, so I think Alex Hormozy talks about, he calls it reps. And it's just like how many times you try, how many times you take action, how many times you put yourself out there, how many reps can you do? Because the more you do, the better you get, the more people you reach, the more effective your reach is. So just keep doing it. And that's truly, I mean, I think it's that way with anything though. If we think about how many reps does it take for your kid who's working on R to get it even the first time, and then we're gonna make an error on it the next 14 times, and then we're gonna get it again, and then we're gonna make an error again. I mean, that's learning. I don't think that it's unique to marketing, but I think marketing is scary because we're putting ourselves out there.
And what Sarah and I are saying is you got to put yourself out there again. Okay. Right? So I'm actually going to challenge the people who are watching or listening to this to think of something that you've done once or twice, three times when it comes to that air quote work. And I want you to make a commitment. Try it the same way. Try it again a different way. Try it again, but realize that in order to your business start it too, but to have a has clients coming in, you got to keep doing this, right?
Yep.
Done thing. It's something that you do different things and you try it and you see what works and what works for you, and also what works for you, right? But I encourage all of you to air quotes didn't work. Also one more thing too is that sometimes, like, one of the mentors in the Claudia talks about marketing as seeds, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
planting these seeds. And so sometimes when it seems like your marketing isn't working, it's just because the flower hasn't grown yet, right? Like, you know what's underneath, right? And so, like, the next time that a into a, or a patient comes into a doctor's office, maybe that's the time that they're going to recommend, right? Just because they haven't done it doesn't mean that they're not going. So I would definitely recommend who's watching or listening to say, you know what, I'm going to try again. Not because I want to have this practice. I want to help these people. I want to have this business, whatever. And so keep going when it comes to marketing because stop, right? That's one thing I stop marketing, or if you don't market at all, you're not going to have the business.
Yeah.
So put yourself out there in ways that are effective and that you can do in order to make your business happen.
Yeah. Totally agree. Um, and I know you and I have both kind of like faced that same struggle of it being hard and it not being like uber successful initially and having 100 bad videos in us. um but the only way that you will get better is if you keep trying, and the only way to guarantee that you fail is to stop.
So we've checked our viewers and listeners. Can we, or where can people learn more about both of us?
um so if you let me see, there's a ton of free resources that we can give you for private practice. If you want the roadmap, you can comment roadmap. If you would like the private practice calculator to see how much you can make in private practice, you can comment calculator. If you would like a free 1 hour training on private practice, you can comment training. We'll send you the link for that. If you are interested in social media, I have a course that is work at your own pace, learn as you go, and you can on any of my posts, I don't think it'll work on this video, but you can comment SSS link and it'll give you the link for that. And then you can also use code Jenna and that will save you, I believe, 25%. Trying to think if we have any others. Now that boot camp is over, I think those are the three main ones, right?
More information, right? Follow
Yeah.
me.
Oh, YouTube. Jenna is on YouTube, and we're actually going to start a new campaign over there and roll out new content on YouTube. So if you are not following on YouTube, it's just independent clinician, very on brand, and you can get all of the new content on YouTube. And Jenna also has a wonderful podcast. If you need some like feel good, encouraging, just like fill your heart stories from SLPs and OTs in private practice success stories on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you can get podcasts.
Um, y'all, Sarah is just a, air quotes SLP. Learning and through trial and error and through a lot of practice, a lot of reps, has become an amazing social media manager, marketer. And so y'all follow her, and she's incredible. And thank you, Sarah, for coming on the show with us tonight. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I could literally talk marketing and social media all night long. So thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you everybody for watching and listening, and we'll see you soon.